I didn't register the heat first. I heard it. A hungry hiss, then a low roar. When I spun around, the hem of my wedding gown, 6 months of fittings and whispered dreams, was curling into black petals. Ivory satin buckled and shriveled, the beating spitting tiny sparks across the antique floor of the bridal suite at Cleveland's Grand Pavilion. Between me and the fire stood Margaret Wilson, impeccable hair, pearls catching the chandelier light, a disposable lighter pinched between 2 manicured fingers like a trophy. Her expression wasn't shock. It was victory. "Now you can't marry my son," she declared, voice pitched high with that brittle, showy righteousness that filled rooms in silenced dissent. "Jason needs a woman from our world. Not," her gaze skimmed me like a stain, "not someone from the wrong side of town." My 3 bridesmaids froze, a violet trio in lavender satin. Smoke smeared itself along the ceiling. Somewhere down the corridor, a string quartet tuned a hopeful chord, completely unaware that a small apocalypse was unfolding 2 doors away. "My name is Valeria Mitchell," I heard myself say. Steady, calm, like I was narrating a training video instead of watching my dress dissolve to cinders. "And you have no idea what you've just done." Margaret laughed, sharp, glass on tile. "Saved my son from a catastrophic mistake. You think a community college degree and a cubicle at some local ad agency makes you a Wilson? Please, Jason belongs with Melissa Hammond. Her father owns half of downtown." I didn't answer. I just touched my phone, thumb precise. Jessica cracked a window, waving smoke toward the summer air. The alarm didn't sound. The venue's seamstress had steamed us earlier, and the room was humid enough to confuse the sensors. The dress sizzled and sighed, then guttered to a vicious, ugly smolder. "The wedding's off," Margaret announced with a flick of her wrist, as if nixing a brunch reservation. "I'll tell the guests you got cold feet. He'll come around, eventually. Are you sure?" I said softly, tilting my screen so the light washed her face. On the display, a pristine shot of the ceremony lawn, white chairs like piano keys, florals framing a sunlit arch, and at the top right, a picture-in-picture feed of us, our suite, our flames. Margaret caught mid-triumph, lighter poised like a judge's gavel. Her complexion drained 2 shades. What is that?" "The live stream," I said. "For Jason's grandparents in Florida. For my sister, dialing in from her base. It's been rolling for 20 minutes, capturing arrivals, musicians, the whole pre-show." I let the silence stretch, then added, "And your monologue about class. While you set my dress on fire." Margaret lunged, pearls jumping, composure fracturing. "Turn it off!" Her hand swiped at air. Jessica stepped between us, measured and immovable. "Mrs. Wilson," Jessica said evenly, "you just committed arson on camera. Maybe think about your next move." My phone buzzed. Then again, Tina glanced, blanched. "Val, it's Jason. He's on his way up here." Margaret's breath hitched. Her eyes darted to the door, to the window, to the scorched circle swallowing my train. "This isn't what it looks like," she stammered, rebuilding her mask in jerky motions. I was testing the fabric. Wedding dresses are supposed to be flame retardant." From the screen came a soft hush, the collective murmur of 100 guests. The main feed shifted, now showing the altar in the front row. Jason's father sat stone-faced, hands tented, not moving. The best man, a blur, vaulted from his seat and disappeared toward the building. And Jason, no longer patiently waiting at the floral arch, was already sprinting up the aisle, tuxedo coat flaring, jaw set in a way that said he had run out of patience a long time ago. "Val," Melody's whisper trembled. "Do we cancel? Tell everyone to go home?" I stared at the ruined dress, a blackened nest where my future outfit had once breathed. A small, practical click turned inside me, the same inner switch that got me through double shifts and night classes. Panic was an option. So was a plan. "No," I said, my voice surprising even me. "The ceremony is happening, just not the way she imagined." The door flew open. Jason filled the threshold, breath ragged, eyes scanning from my face to the still smoking heap to his mother's trembling hands. The venue manager and his father crowded behind him, both stricken. "Mom." Jason's voice was quiet the way thunder is quiet a mile away. "Tell me I did not just watch you burn Valerie's dress and call her unworthy of our family." Margaret snapped to sweetness so fast it was almost audible. Jason, darling, you don't understand. I was protecting you. This girl has been after your money from the start. I was testing her. Stop! He didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. I heard everything. He turned to me, and in an instant the fury went out of his eyes and something tender took its place. Val, I'm sorry. I didn't think. I had no idea she would. It's a dress, I said, and the truth of what it symbolized cracked at the edges of the words. But she didn't just burn satin. She announced what she thinks of me, of us, to everyone. Notifications pulsed against my palm. The venue coordinator hovered at the doorway, ringing a checklist. Ms. Mitchell, she said carefully, the guests are asking if they should take their seats or leave. Would you like us to make an announcement? Behind Jason, Mr. Wilson stepped forward, face carved in something that looked a lot like decision. Margaret, he said, each syllable placed like a chess piece. What have you done? She clutched her purse strap. What I've always done, guided this family. The Hammonds, he cut in, don't determine my son's life. He looked at me. Valerie, I'm deeply sorry. The room held its breath. Tell them, I said at last, the shape of it crystallizing as I spoke. There's been a change of plans. The ceremony proceeds in 20 minutes. Margaret scoffed, relief and rage seesawing. In what exactly? Your slip? Don't be ridiculous. In my backup dress, I replied. Jessica blinked. Melody blinked. Even I blinked. But contingency was a language I spoke fluently. Mel, I said, turning. Remember that Cleveland bride shoot last month? Eliza's studio. She had an ivory sheath with a lace overlay. It was your size, Jess, which makes it mine with a little pinning. I glanced at the coordinator. Can we get a driver there in 5? Consider it done, Mr. Wilson said, already dialing. Where is it? While the logistics flared to life, addresses traded, a seamstress summoned, a golf cart procured for speed. I faced the phone and, by extension, everyone still sitting under the white arch, watching our private disaster unfold in widescreen. Hi, everyone, I said, and strange calm filled my chest. Thank you for bearing with us. There's been a minor wardrobe malfunction, but love's a stubborn thing. It does not quit. We'll start shortly. A cheer lifted faintly through the speaker, warmth flowing back toward the room like sunlight found again. Jason's hand found mine and squeezed hard. Pride and apology braided together. Mom, he said without looking away from me, you need to leave. Dad will take you home. You are not welcome at our wedding. Margaret flinched as if struck. You would choose her over your own mother? After what you did today? He said, the softness gone. Absolutely. Security, summoned quietly by the venue manager and endorsed with visible pain by Mr. Wilson, appeared just as Margaret's composure buckled for good. There were more words, a final glare, a rustle of silk and indignation, and then she was gone. A storm rolling itself down the hall. Outside, the quartet shifted into a patient waltz. Inside we moved, fast. The livestream stayed on, the chat a cascade of hearts and "we've got you" messages from strangers and cousins alike. Eliza herself arrived with not 1 but 3 gowns, breathless and beaming. The seamstress, pins clenched between lips, became a miracle worker. In the corner, the venue team recalibrated lighting around lace instead of satin, and somewhere beyond the door, Jason walked back to the altar and told the guests what mattered. That perfection wasn't the point. Partnership was. When the lace finally settled against my shoulders, and the veil lifted like a soft, forgiving cloud, Melody covered her mouth and laughed a wet little laugh. You look unstoppable. I looked in the mirror, at a woman who had been tested and refused to melt. The dress wasn't the one I'd chosen. It was the one I needed. If you're feeling this story so far, don't forget to subscribe for more real-life revenge tales. And like the video if you're rooting for Val. It helps more people find these stories. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done the moment the lighter clicked? The suite hummed like a hive as everyone moved with urgent purpose. The seamstress stitched and pinned. My bridesmaids fetched water, tissues, even eyeliner to redo smudged makeup. Yet, despite the frantic activity, one presence hung over everything like smoke that refused to leave. Margaret's words. Not good enough. From the wrong side of town, after Jason's money. They echoed with every tug of thread. Downstairs, the live stream projected Jason's steady voice across the white canopied aisle. "As it's not the perfect circumstances that make a marriage work," he told our guests, his tone strong but weighted. "It's how you survive the imperfect ones." Together, applause carried up the stairwell. For a moment, my lungs filled with that sound, and I felt invincible. But when the door cracked open again, it wasn't Jason who entered. It was Mr. Wilson. He paused at the sight of me in the lace sheath, pins still sticking like silver thorns. His face softened. "Valerie, you look radiant." Then after a weighted silence, "I owe you an apology. Margaret's behavior," he shook his head, "unforgivable." "You don't need to apologize for her," I said quietly. "You didn't burn my dress." His eyes closed for a beat, relief and shame flickering in equal measure. "Jason's chosen well," he said finally. "Don't ever doubt that." But even as he spoke, my phone buzzed violently on the vanity. Tina snatched it up, eyes widening as she read the screen. "Val, it's Jason's cousin. Margaret's not gone. She's in the parking lot, screaming at the Hammond family about how she'll fix this." The Hammond family. Melissa, the woman Margaret wanted for Jason, was apparently circling, her perfect hair and family fortune gleaming like a dangling carrot in Margaret's mind. The betrayal wasn't just about me. It was about erasing me altogether. Jessica hissed. "She's trying to convince Jason to walk away." The air thickened. The seamstress's hands trembled as she pushed another pin through lace. I clenched my jaw. She can try, but Jason knows who I am. Still, when the venue coordinator reappeared, face pale, her words cut like cold water. "She's threatening to shut down the reception. Claims the Wilson name owns half the vendors in this room." My bridesmaids exchanged stricken glances. Jessica muttered, "She's trying to scorch the earth." For the first time all day, a pang of doubt curled in my stomach. If Margaret pulled strings with the vendors, the entire reception could collapse. Flowers, catering, music, all at risk. And if guests left, we wouldn't just lose a celebration. We'd lose the moment to prove love wasn't fragile. The seamstress snapped her scissors closed and looked me in the eye. "Then give them something they can't leave." That sentence planted itself in me like steel. I turned to the mirror, veil now resting in place. My reflection wasn't just a bride. It was a woman who had been tested and was about to test back. If Margaret wanted a stage, I'd give her one. Only this time, she wouldn't control the script. If you're hooked, don't forget to like this video. It keeps these stories alive. And tell me, have you ever had someone try to sabotage your big day or milestone? I'd love to read your stories in the comments. By the time I stepped onto the garden path, veil floating in the breeze, the live stream had already turned me into a story the guests couldn't look away from. My bridesmaids flanked me like armor, lavender gowns glowing under the summer light. Every step was deliberate, every camera capturing not just a bride walking toward her future, but a woman refusing to be erased. Inside, Jason waited at the altar, tuxedo pressed but expression raw. The guests rose to their feet, not with polite silence, but with thunderous applause. Phones lifted, hands clapped, and for the first time that day, joy swallowed the smoke. But just as I reached Jason, a ripple surged through the crowd. Gasps, whispers. At the back of the hall, Margaret had returned. Her face was a storm, red, tight, furious. She tried to march down the aisle, shouting about mistakes, about family legacy. 2 security guards moved fast, but Jason raised a hand. "Let her speak," he said, voice steady but dangerous. "Everyone deserves to hear the truth." Margaret froze, trapped between her pride and 100 eyes. "You think this girl deserves to carry our name?" She spat. "She'll bleed you dry. She'll drag you down. Look at her, lace borrowed, family absent. She's nothing." I didn't flinch. Instead, I turned slowly, holding up my phone. The live stream feed filled the projection screen behind us. Replay mode. Flames devouring satin. Margaret's voice, clear and shrill. "Now you can't marry my son. He belongs with Melissa Hammond." Gasps surged again, louder this time. Some guests shook their heads. Others whispered openly. And Margaret's face, once triumphant, now cracked with panic. "Enough!" Jason's father's voice boomed, cutting through the chaos. He stepped forward, tall and commanding. "Margaret, you've disgraced this family. Today, Jason chooses his future, and so do I." He turned to the audience. "My loyalty is with my son, and with Valerie." The applause that followed swallowed Margaret's protests. The guards escorted her out as she clawed at her pearls, sputtering excuses no one wanted to hear anymore. Jason turned back to me, eyes burning, not with anger now, but devotion. He took my hands. "Val, nothing she can do, nothing she can say, will ever come between us again. What do you want?" I squeezed his hands, loud enough for the guests and the stream alike. "I want to marry you, right here, right now, and prove that love doesn't burn, it rises." The officiant, bless him, picked it up seamlessly. "Then let us begin." The vows weren't the ones we had practiced. They were sharper, deeper, born from fire. Jason's voice broke only once. "I promise to protect us, even if that means protecting us from my own blood." My own vows trembled but held strong. "I promise to never let hatred define us. Only love." When we exchanged rings, thankfully retrieved by Mr. Wilson before Margaret could sabotage them, cheers erupted. Cameras flashed, and as we kissed, the audience didn't just clap, they roared. The reception became something no planner could ever orchestrate. Guests who had started the day stiff and judgmental now danced with abandon. My colleagues from the ad agency live posted clips with captions like "Love," "Control," and "Phoenix Bride." Jason's college roommate announced that hashtags "Can't Burn Love" and "Rising from the Ashes" were already trending locally. Later, as I sat with Jason, champagne in hand, Mr. Wilson approached, his voice thick with emotion. "Valerie, you've changed this family. Today wasn't just your wedding, it was a reckoning." And he was right. Margaret's attempt at sabotage had only revealed her own downfall. The Wilson name, once chained to social politics, was now tied to something stronger: resilience. As Jason and I danced under the glowing lights, I realized revenge hadn't come from shouting her down or matching her cruelty. Revenge had come from standing tall, from letting the world see her true face, and from showing that no flame, no matter how fierce, could scorch what was unbreakable. That night, as the live stream ended and the ballroom echoed with laughter and music, I whispered to Jason, "She thought she destroyed us. But really, she made us unforgettable," and his smile told me he agreed. If you loved this story, don't forget to subscribe for more dramatic revenge tales. Smash that like button if you believe love always wins, and tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were in Valerie's shoes?